Temu is sweeping the world right now with their insanely low prices, generous reward schemes, and flashy advertising.
Temu has absolutely exploded onto the scene, advertising simply unbeatable prices.
This new website, Temu, I can't tell you how many people I've seen raving about the cheap tech you can get on this site. It's cheaper than Amazon, it's cheaper than Wish, and
Worth of mystery Temu packages.
Have you ever heard of Temu?
Temu.
The news has been abuzz with the mystery of how they've become the fastest growing shopping app in the US, beating out even Amazon, Wish, and all their other competitors. Temu says that they're simply offering people the opportunity to shop like billionaires. By connecting customers directly with Chinese factories and distributors, they can cut out the middleman costs and keep prices low. But is that really the truth here? How are they actually outcompeting companies like Amazon? How is it taking over the world so quickly? And how on earth are they even making money? And in trying to answer that, you start to question what else is Temu doing in the background to fund this explosive growth? Well, in answering this question, you'll soon understand that Temu is the biggest scam of the year. Let me explain. You see, lots of people's first exposure to Temu was their first Super Bowl ad.
Download the Temu app and shop like a billionaire.
Which has around 850 million views on YouTube right now. It's effective to say the least, with all the classic corporate advert tropes. It's got everything you'd expect: the young woman with a palm as the main character, the legions of smiling workers and customers, the spontaneous street celebration of consumerism. Along with that came the celebrity and influencer endorsements. Jason Derulo and Juju Smith-Schuster, fresh off his Super Bowl victory, were among them. Temu doesn't just rely on big names either. There are countless examples of small to medium influencers showing off their Temu hauls, sent to them by the company for free. With these cherry-picked products, Temu can convince people they're selling high-quality, trustworthy merchandise, blurring the line between paid product placement and reviews, muddying the water even more. It's an aggressive marketing strategy that's enabled other Chinese companies like TikTok to gain a foothold in the foreign market. But it's also a technique often used by disreputable and dishonest companies to maximize growth and accelerate the momentum. FTX also made their name pouring money into celebrity endorsements and social media adverts, and Temu is going one step further. Temu is making billions from their online store, but did you know so many influencers today, especially YouTubers, are making tens of thousands a month from AI? And one of the best tools they use to do this is with our video sponsor InVideo AI. Here's how. Say you want to make travel videos on YouTube, and for example you're making a video on the top 5 places to visit in Sydney. You can give InVideo AI the prompt of the video, and then select your audience platform and the number of variations you want to generate in the first go. You will then see the previews of the variations generated from your prompt, and you can choose to either edit a variation and refine it further. You can also change the voiceover to be a British voice, add a new scene, change the background music to something cheerful, make the voiceover louder and the music quieter, or add subtitles to the entire video. Or you can directly export the video. And any changes you make to the script afterwards, InVideo AI will generate a new voiceover while it edits the media, which allows for the replacement of clips from a stock library. I recommend that you get started with a paid plan for just $20 a month that will remove the watermark and give you access to millions of royalty-free stock footage clips, a human-sounding voiceover, and more that would cost you hundreds of dollars if you source them individually. Because with InVideo AI, you can create a wide array of videos from YouTube videos, TikToks, YouTube Shorts, anything you need. For example, just giving InVideo AI the prompt to the top 5 places in New York as a YouTube Short, and you'll get a completely new style of video. So make sure to check out InVideo AI today. Operating a pyramid scheme style of marketing on top of this, getting your friends to sign up and making posts about the app will get you free credits. You can then use these to order even more budget products, turning a few likes into a new dress or a cheap power drill. The final part of the strategy is gamifying the act of shopping. Through the Temu app, you can play little mobile games, cool things like coin spin and card flip to win free items.
But there's also all kinds of games that you can play in this app. A bit like Farmville, you can grow a tree. You can pick a type of fruit like mangoes, you can grow a tree. When that tree is finished, when it's fully grown, we'll actually ship you a box of mangoes. But there is a catch here, because the closer you get to your actual goal in all of these games, the harder it gets. And to reach your final goal, you will have to come back several times a day. You will have to watch products. So you can get, for instance, fertilizer for your tree if you spend 2 minutes just scrolling past different products. And you probably will see something, hey, that's interesting, I didn't know about that, I'm gonna buy that.
They're trying to use every trick in the book, and hooking into people's love of gambling is all part of the package. The consumer gets some free tarts and a bit of dopamine to keep them occupied, whilst Temu gets more engagement and the holy grail of addiction. This is linked in with the multi-level marketing referral schemes to incentivize people to do their marketing for them. None of this is illegal so far, but you should always be wary of companies that use these tactics. But it's been a winning combination for Temu in any case. The massively low prices are too good for people to ignore.
Extreme discounting with mega variety, gamified, and socialized in order to drive traffic, but most importantly, to build an enrolled base and get consumers to download their app.
Temu seems to have cracked the code by connecting people directly with Chinese factories, the same factories that make pretty much everything on Amazon and other e-commerce sites anyway, which makes it seem like Temu could actually overtake Amazon in gaining a wider audience for cheaper products. It all seems like a simple idea, so then why hasn't anyone ever done this before? Well, they have, just not in the West yet. You see, Temu isn't an independent company that somehow came out of nowhere to corner this new business model. They're a partner company of a Chinese app that's already been doing this for years in their home country, an app called Pinduoduo. Taking a look at their incredibly shady business practices, exploitation of their workers, and their data theft might give us a little insight into the future of Temu. The fact that Pinduoduo and the company that made it, PDD Holdings, has gone under the radar shows how isolated our two cultures really are. It's absolutely massive. Since it was founded in 2015, it has expanded to serve over 750 million users. They saw some of the most aggressive growth during the pandemic and draconian Chinese lockdowns, when people were forced to either use online shopping services or go without. By acting as the cheapest alternative, they cornered the market in a few short years, and with all their explosive growth, PDD soon became $1 billion company, but they still had very small offices. Everything about the company is designed to cut costs and prop up the low prices for the goods. One consequence of this was intense overcrowding in their offices, with only 8 bathrooms split amongst 1,000 workers on a single floor. It's made that much more awful when you see how much time employees are expected to spend in the office. China's famous for their oppressive 966 work culture, where office workers and employees are expected to work from 9 AM to 9 PM 6 days a week. And PDD went further, exploiting their workers to their human limits and often even further than that. The horror stories that have come out of the company are a testament to how extreme it really is. One employee described how his colleagues were forced into working up to 380 hours in a single month, over 50% of all of their time, including sleep. Insane amounts of overtime led to employees regularly leaving work at 1:30 AM just to go back the next morning. And the results were tragic. One 22-year-old employee collapsed after a particularly long shift and was pronounced dead 6 hours later. A couple weeks later, another worker jumped off a tall building after abruptly leaving the office and requesting leave. The very next day, PDD fired another employee after he spoke out against the dismal working conditions and long hours. The reason they cited was that he had said, quote, extreme comments with obvious malice. Then a member of PDD's upper management released a statement saying, quote, who hasn't exchanged their life for money? When people were predictably outraged, first they claimed it was a fake statement, then they tried to blame it on an outside contractor, but to anyone with a brain, their true thoughts are crystal clear. It's a horrific situation. Tech jobs in China in particular often have massive overtime because there's so many applicants. When they pay around 3 to 6 times the average college graduate salary, there's always going to be intense competition, but once people are in, the long grueling hours start to take their toll. One Chinese tech company described it like a siege, with tons of people on the outside wanting to get in, and everyone on the inside wanting to get out. It's a picture that we can sympathize with in the West, but not to this extent. Temu sinking its claws deeper into the Western market every day, we're probably going to see it soon for ourselves. Another aspect of Pinduoduo that we can only pray we won't see is their treatment of user data. The company is notorious for how invasive and simply criminal they are with people's privacy. According to an investigation by CNN and cybersecurity teams, the app didn't just take the usual location data, personal details and shopping habits that other apps take, but it also exploited weaknesses in the Android operating system to give itself far more access than usual, often without the consent of the user. This meant that it could spy on what people do in other apps, their notifications, their private messages. It could even change settings within the phone.
Turning to our tech lead, experts say one of China's most popular shopping apps has the ability to spy on its users.
This information was then likely passed on to the Chinese government, because once Chinese tech companies grow large enough, the CCP takes partial ownership and control of them. They then use them within their system of data collection and political suppression. Pinduoduo also used the data for themselves to send targeted push notifications and keep people on the app for as long as possible. A current employee at PDD described how a team of 100 engineers were set to look for exploits in the Android OS, and clearly they found them. This team was then disbanded after their work was discovered, but most of them found jobs at Temu afterwards. And it was these developments that led to Google banning Pinduoduo from the Play Store in March of 2023. Although Temu hasn't technically been implicated regulated yet, they're still free to operate unimpeded. Regardless, we're already seeing the start of similar things happening with Temu. Anecdotally, lots of people have reported getting far more spam emails just days after signing up for Temu. From this, you can assume that Temu is sharing people's emails with anyone who will pay. They're also taking as much data as possible, taking location information and tracking people's online activity. As per their ironically named privacy policy, Temu can then share this info with PDD and other affiliates, who are then allowed to share it with the CCP. Along with TikTok and other Chinese apps, it's yet another part of the pipeline of personal data flowing straight into China. We've seen with TikTok as well that Western authorities and watchdogs are either unable or unwilling to put a stop to this. Even after years of data misuse, fines, breaches and threats, TikTok is still going strong. PDD Holdings and the team at Temu will likely be seeing this as proof that they can cut it incredibly close and push the laws to the brink without any real consequences. Their expansion is a massive threat to Amazon and other Western companies that specialize in shipping cheap Chinese goods, companies that are further along in their business model's timeline. Amazon grew so large by doing nearly exactly the same thing Temu is doing right now. They operated at heavy losses for years, prioritizing user growth over everything else. But at some point, companies do need to start making money. When that came for Amazon, they raised prices, delivery fees, and expanded into other markets. Today, the big Prime sales often don't include any real discounts at all. They just take a percentage off of something that was already overpriced, breaking it down to the same price you'll get anywhere else. Temu, on the other hand, is sustained almost entirely by money from PDD Holdings, letting them undercut Amazon in nearly everything. But it won't last forever. This is a money hole, but for the foreseeable future, Temu will be much cheaper, artificially. Now, Amazon still has name brands, something that Temu doesn't really offer, but those kinds of sales make up a surprisingly small amount of Amazon's total sales. Third-party sellers who generally sell off-brand alternative goods make up 58% of all the sales on the site. Often Amazon will see a third-party product doing well and just copy it, repackage it, and just stick an Amazon Basics label on it. With Temu offering similar quality products at much cheaper prices, it's hard to see how Amazon will ever compete with this. One advantage Amazon may have though is their customer service and their reputation. Temu's got a lot of work to do here. They've been completely swamped by complaints, delivery issues, and fake products.
Now it's been around for 8 months, and the BBB shows over 500 complaints. Many of the complaints are about slow or no-show packages, bad or completely unresponsive customer service, mega delays for refunds, incorrect items, poor quality products, and malfunctions with the website or app.
On Trustpilot, a site for overall reviews of a company, Temu is sitting with 3.4 stars out of 5. Not great, but not all that terrible either, or so it seems. In reality, the reviews are shady to say the least. Lots are 1-star complaints warning people away from the site, and saying either the items were awful quality, didn't arrive, or were delivered broken. Complaints about the customer service are also everywhere. The others are nearly all 5-star reviews by people saying they absolutely love the app, and to ignore the complaints, often delivered in all caps and with suspiciously similar wording. It's pretty hard to prove they're spoofing these reviews, but if they can employ 100 people to break Android's encryption and security, they probably can find some sort of way to get fake reviews up on Trustpilot. As for outright fakes and scams, Temu isn't particularly clean either. One of their ad campaigns has been framed around a promise of a Nintendo Switch for the staggering price of only $7. This sounds far too good to be true, because it isn't. They've listed on the app in very small amounts, 10 at a time in some cases, on specific dates. From there, it's completely based on luck whether you actually get it or not before thousands of other people do. Other deals like this are heavily reliant on their multi-level marketing referral scheme. Refer people to the website, and if they buy enough stuff, you can get a massive discount as well. And it has the exact same problems of any other pyramid scheme setup. It's not sustainable. After a certain amount of time, which is already approaching, everyone interested will already be on the app. It's part of the reason for Temu's expansion out of China. They already reached their peak user levels there. Other than that, other scams and fake products have found a home on the site, like these knockoff Air Jordans for under $50, or a whole range of fake Nintendo Switch consoles and accessories. The Better Business Bureau has given Temu a C- rating, citing issues with copyright infringement because of these products. Some companies have even sued Temu for duplicating listings and pictures of their products, using them to sell their own knockoff versions. Haikoba, a company that makes hair towels, released screenshots showing how one Temu third-party seller completely copied their Amazon listing, pictures, and even copied their brand name. What you see on Temu often won't be what you get, classic case of false advertising. But the biggest problem with Temu, even if it isn't illegal, is what it represents. The app and the company are the latest way to more effectively create and sell cheap disposable goods to the mass market. Objects that will break within months or even weeks, created through a system of exploitative cheap labor. products that are often found to contain high levels of lead, toxic heavy metals, and other harmful chemicals, Temu can flood the world with this stuff, creating mountains of cheap tat that will sit in landfills for centuries. And Temu is doing this with a new 21st century spin. Mass influencer marketing, social media adverts, and gamification techniques get people hooked. Data harvesting, taking people's phone numbers, birthdays, shopping habits, location, and so much more make sure they keep coming back with targeted ads. It also gives them money on the side for selling that data, information which also ends up in the CCP's database as well. It's an almost perfect business model. Without any regulation or pushback, which seems a long way off right now, they're gonna take over the world. Amazon and other Western companies need to adapt or die. Either they'll copy Temu's awful worker exploitation and cost-cutting measures, or they'll get buried, as they simply won't be able to compete.